Alex.
Hello.
And welcome to Bucharest Business School, to the Creative MBA for the second time, right? How do you find the classes and the students this year?
That's interesting because every year, I told you yesterday that I've been for, I think, 7 or 8 times in Bucharest, first time many years ago, and I feel a huge difference in evolving the city and the mindset of the students and the people. I feel, as I told yesterday, that Bucharest is living this vibrant energy that you don't feel in many cities around the world. Why? Probably the social context, probably the point of the evolution that you are. But what I feel within the streets, in the shops, in restaurants, and in the classes is that students are eager to know, eager to show, eager to present, to demonstrate their creativity, their energy, and I feel that very, very interesting.
Well, I think that this also comes from you in the sense that you always bring a sort of joy, and great energy to the course. I can tell you from the experience of the students last year, they told me they were all excited to see you again. And they also, they wanted to participate in the masterclass that you led yesterday. And yeah, we're very happy, to have this sort of feedback and, for the students to be so engaged. And speaking of the masterclass, that you led yesterday, if you could tell me, I don't know, a couple of takeaways that you shared with the audience, that would be great.
Okay, so the idea yesterday was to resume and get them inspired. So when I was planning the masterclass, I said, okay, I got 1 hour and a half and the attention span is very low nowadays. So I need to have several moments of attention and grabbing and interacting. So I planned this like I'm going to tell something and then I'm going to tease them and I'm going to ask them to participate, and then I tell another thing, and then I tease them. So this is the structure, and I can measure the attention and the involvement of an audience, well, everybody can, for the moment and the people that are on their phones. And gladly, after almost 2 hours of a masterclass, I see just 1 or 2 in their phones. So I was like, wow, this is great, because when you're bored, the first thing you do is, let me swipe and see something else. And I think that 98% of the people didn't touch the phone for almost 2 hours. And 1 or 2 that touch probably is something important or a notification that they really need to see. So it was really interesting and, of course, joyful to see that. I was very pleased with that.
I was one of the people who was on the phone, but just because I was sending, communicating in other groups with the students, taking some pictures. So that was the goal. But it was very, very interesting. I attended the masterclass. I really loved it. And, 5 key takeaways from the end, which highlighted the difference between, or at least for me, between storytelling and story doing. Would you agree?
Well, there is this English saying, walk the talk. And unfortunately, we have nowadays many brands and many organizations that they say things, but they don't practice those things. That's why we have greenwashing and pink-washing and whitewashing and all of these washings. It's because they don't practice what they say. And in storytelling, it's exactly the same thing. I think storytelling is a buzzword that nowadays, in the last, I would say, 5 years, all the companies, all the brand managers, all communication, advertising agencies, everybody's talking about this. And then it's not just telling the story, is what the story can do for your product, for your organization, or for you as a personal brand. So story doing is the action attached to the story. It is, of course, nice to tell a story, but I can tell stories to my kids before they go to bed, and the goal is just to sleep. But when a brand or an organization tells a story, it needs more than put people to sleep. So they need interact, and they need probably sale, and they need more things. They need to create relationship. So story doing is what kind of story are you able to create and pass to make and connect with your consumers in a meaningful way. And that's not easy.
What kind of story do you think we are making here at Creative MBA?
I think you are starting a journey with lots of people that are, from my point of view, needed or something like this. I don't know, I don't live in Bucharest, but I think there is nothing like this in Bucharest. So if I were in one of the situations like many of these students, I would say 25, 30, 35 students last year and this year, there are so many different personalities, so many different points of their lives, but they all have something in common, which is they want to combine creativity with business. And maybe you are pioneer in creating something that are giving them, okay, freedom to express themselves in design, in whatever they want in creativity, but having the basis of, okay, this is a brand, this is how you should communicate. And many of them, and I realized this morning, didn't have those notions and said, okay, everybody knows what is a brand, everybody has strategies, these, but then when you go deep, they say, oh, this is very important for my career, for my business, for my brand, even my personal brand or my company. And I think they are really glad to see the foundations of why things work and happen like this. It's something that we are not used to think about. And when someone shows us in a different angle and probably in an inspiring way, I hope I could do that, people say, wow, this is interesting. And in the end of each session, I always ask, okay, what are the main takeaways that you take from here? And it's very interesting because you have a group of 20 people and different ones get different things. Oh, when you give this example, it really resonates on me. Oh, for me, what was inspiring was knowing this, or I didn't realize that a brand has so many functions, or this. And everybody takes from their personal experience something different. And that's the best part, because you are teaching for 1 hour or 2 or 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. But every student brings and takes anything personal that relates and resonates with him that he can use for his life or his project or his business. That's the most important part.
Very interesting. Two things I would just like to mention or add. Indeed, we are the only program like this in Bucharest, but also in the country and also in the region. And our goal is to basically add on top of their creativity and their experience, the business knowledge and management. But also, as you mentioned, apparently what we're doing is we also question what they know or they think they know, through the lectures. And your example is the best way, to show this. And it's great because you also come back to the basics and you can innovate from there as well, not just building on top, but also restructure.
Exactly. And there is another thing I think that you do very, very well, which is basically the normal, regular education system says, okay, this is 0, this is 100. And I'm going to give you some content, I'm going to give you some information, and then I will evaluate you. And if you reach here, you got 60, if you reach here, you got 80, and everybody is measured by the same way. But there is a problem with this education system, which is not everybody starts from the same point. So if I start in the 80, if I go to the 90, I just get up 10 points. But if I start in 10 and I went to 70, I'm above this guy, but I grew 60 points. So I used to have a school in Lisbon, and my concept was we elevate your potential. So we see where you are, and what you do is we grab your potential, what you really like to do and want to do, and we elevate it to the stratosphere. And we have this astronaut, and the campaign was kind of, we put you in the stars. So the creative concept was like this, but it starts from this true point, which is everybody starts from a different point. And that's why the traditional education system, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not perfect. And if we look to each student and say where you are, what you want to do, what can I give you to potentiate your strengths and your goals and your dreams, that's where education fits. And I think you are doing a great job here, because you are giving tools, different tools that they can relate and take some parts from this and take some parts for this, and not I need to study to have this code in the test. And that's not like that.
Yeah, indeed. It's also a huge responsibility.
It is.
But you know, as you see, we have a cohort that is very diverse, and you cannot do it. I mean, it's the only way to do it, right?
I like that.
We like it as well, and this is also what brings, you know, sparks, yeah, creativity, you know, more, and partnerships and networking, relationships.
And again, you end up and what were your main takeoffs of these? And each one brings different things, which is interesting, because not everybody are the same and expecting the same and learning the same. There are things that resonates to me, there are different that what resonates to you, and for all the students is the same. So when you give them a platform of lots of things, they can take and use the best things for their lives.
This is indeed a new approach, and it's also challenging to implement, because, you know, when they come to the classroom in the first month, maybe first weeks, being used with a system of education that only gives them things and they sit and accumulate, they sometimes maybe don't understand that communicating, asking questions, exactly, exchanging, sharing from their experience is actually more rich, or enriches everyone, and listening is also very important. This is how they can also yeah, assimilate and evolve, exactly, through the knowledge of the others, and through sharing.
I used to give this example that it happens to me. I saw the last concert of Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. The last concert was in Lisbon before he killed himself, and I was there. And at a certain point, he was on the stage and he said, "Here we are, entertain us." And we look at just, I paid a ticket to see you. What do you mean entertainment? And they said, "You don't understand. We don't play for the money. We play for the fun. And if it's not fun for us, it's not going to be fun for you." And this was a life changer, a game changer that resonates on me. And I understand, okay, if I go to the class and I say this to the students, okay, what do you have to teach me? They kind of panic. I said, oh, that's not supposed to. I know. That's why I'm here. I want to learn from you. What can you teach me today? What can you teach to your colleagues? And they were kind of, oh, whoa, that's not supposed to. I said, yes, that's supposed to. Because you are a person, you know things, you know how to do something that I don't know. So tell me, explain me, share with us, and let's all grow as a team, as a cohort, from the experience of the others, and not just I'm the teacher, I know everything, I'm full of knowledge, and I'm gonna spread my knowledge among you. It doesn't work like that anymore.
I read something the other day, an advertising to a course in business for creative people, and it was saying something like, we skip the theoretical part that you don't need, and we're only giving you the practical part that is the most important. What do you think about this?
I don't agree. And I don't agree for two reasons. The first one is, imagine you are in a medicine course and you want to be a surgeon. And I give you a bisturi, cut, learn by doing. Kill so many people. You need to know where are the veins, where are the organs, what you can cut, and then you can practice. So again, that's why I go to the basics. And everybody thinks they know what is a brand, what is branding, what is a strategy. And then when you start to question, they say, oh, I never thought of this and that. And those bases allows them to grow and to build on top of something safe, you know? But of course, you need both parts. I'm not fan of just practical part. I think it doesn't work.
Well, some would argue and say medicine is not the same thing as a creative business.
That's true.
But maybe it is. Or if you can share with me some things related to branding, what you're teaching, how is that important and influences our lives?
we're talking about brands and branding in the morning, and most of the students said, okay, now I understand how can apply these principles to my own personal brand. I didn't realize that I made this exercise, which is, okay, I call one of students and say, okay, we are going to do an exercise which is during 15 seconds, you are not going to communicate. And I turn and I look to my watch and it stays like panic. And then, okay, that's it, thank you, you can sit. And then I asked to do, did he manage to not communicate? And everybody said no. Why? Because of his hair, the look, how he's dressed, where he put his hands, if he shine, if he blushed, everything communicates. And I said, okay, so this is a message, everything communicates. And I'm gonna give you another exercise. Imagine I have a tennis ball here and I'm gonna send the tennis ball to you. Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh.
That's easy? Okay. But now, so one message, you grab it. It's easy. If I have 30 tennis ball and I send it to the same time, you didn't grab any. So I also say, no ad is big enough to contain more than one key message. And that's the same for a talk, that's the same for many things. So if you want to try to put all of the things there, in the end, people say, the car has this and this and this and this and this. And then, do you know if the car has that? I don't know, it has so many things. But if you want to say, this car is the biggest space in the back, you dramatize that idea. If you want to say, this car is the one that spends less gas in one, you dramatize that idea. One idea, it's easy to catch. 20, 30, no ad is big enough to contain more than one key message, one big idea.
What is the reaction of our students who work in advertising to your course?
Well, yesterday, as you remember, I said, who worked in advertising here? And there were like 10. And I said, I'm so sorry for you because advertising is dead. Well, advertising in the traditional way of mass media, TV, radio, outdoor. Of course, nowadays we live in a world very fast, multitasking. Even if we are watching television, we are with our phones, maybe the book, maybe connections and notifications and everything at the same time. So brands need to, as you posted today, need to be part of people's life and not interrupt people's life. I'm listening music in the radio, advertising comes. I'm watching a very nice movie, advertising interrupts. I'm reading something interesting, advertising interrupts. And advertising needs to stop interrupting people's lives and become part of people's lives. That's how story doing enters. How can I create a story that makes the brand enter your life naturally? That's not easy, but that's the future.
Yeah, okay, this is a very good takeaway for me. So thank you very much for this conversation. It was lovely, and it's lovely to have you here again this year.
Thank you so much for the invitation and for being here again.